Welcome back, everyone. We've got a lot to cover today, so let's jump right back into the action. When we last left our hero, Josh Wheaton, the evil Professor Radisson had issued him an ultimatum. Either Josh denies the existence of God for a grade, or he has to make 3 presentations in front of the class arguing for the existence of God. Instead of issuing a complaint to the university regarding this clearly unethical assignment, Josh actually considers Radisson's proposition.
Well, who would decide whether I won or lost the argument?
Well, I would. It's not my class, my rules. Grading is my prerogative.
Yeah, no disrespect, but I'm not sure you can be objective.
No way! You mean the professor who demands his students bow to his beliefs about religion or be punished with lower grades might not be objective? What tipped you off? Was it his villainous name? I bet it was his villainous name.
What would you propose?
What about them?
Well, that's interesting, but why would I want to empower them?
We've already won them over. I mean, I'd have to unconvince them.
Wait, does this movie really expect me to believe that these students became atheists after Mr. Radisson's little presentation earlier? Aside from a short cutaway that didn't skip any more than a few seconds, we saw the entirety of that presentation. You want to know how long it was? 3 minutes. This movie expects me to believe that every student in this classroom became an atheist after a 3-minute talk? Seriously? If this is true, then Mr. Radisson must be the absolute best salesman of all time. His talents are really going to waste here. Anyway, Radisson agrees to Josh's terms and sets the rules. Josh will have 20 minutes at the end of the next 3 classes to make his case for God. If he is able to convince the other students of his position, then Josh will pass. If not, he will lose 30% of his grade as before. So this means that Josh gets to argue for the existence of God for an hour, while Radisson only needed 3 minutes. That's a heck of a handicap he's playing with, if you ask me. We cut to Josh discussing his problem with his girlfriend.
So the answer's simple, drop the class.
Yeah, but I'm not sure I can do that. I feel like God wants someone to defend him.
Don't be ridiculous.
Wait, did she just take the cake off Josh's tray? And it was so pronounced, too. What was the point of that? This is raising some alarm bells, but maybe it's just my imagination.
I just keep thinking of that C.S. Lewis line. Only a real risk tests the reality of belief.
So you're gonna risk our future over your yearbook quote? Josh, why am I here? Why am I salutatorian of our graduating class here at my 3rd choice school? I'm sorry for having the next 50 years of our life planned out, but that's just who I am.
50 years? You have the next 50 years of not just your life, but Josh's life planned out? Well, that explains that. The alarm bells going off in my head were telling me this lady wasn't an actual human being at all. She's a caricature. Yes, in much the same way that Radisson is a ridiculous stereotype of an atheist, Josh's girlfriend, otherwise known as Kara, is a ridiculous stereotype of an overly controlling love interest. She isn't depicted as an actual person, but as a caricature, completely one-dimensional and lacking any self-awareness, empathy, or humanity. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't people like Radisson and Kara out there, but that they are the absolute extremes of the people they represent. They're made this way so that the audience can easily identify them as enemies for Josh to overcome, rather than human beings the audience might have to come to understand and empathize with. Anyway, Kara forbids, yes, she really uses that word, forbids Josh to take on Radisson. After a brief eye-locking connection between Josh and this lady we'll meet later, we jump to the next scene with Miss Bumper Stickers. She's lying in wait to pounce on.
Why do you wear those heels?
Oh no. Oh dear bunny God, no!
Can I ask you a few questions?
Yeah.
Ah! Help! Somebody help me! He's gonna make bunny sounds and then shoot me! Quick, somebody get that dog from Duck Hunt to save me! Look, just seeing this guy makes me very uncomfortable, but in case you have no idea who this is, how I wish I could be you. This is Willie Robertson, one of the family members from the reality TV show Duck Dynasty. The Robertsons became quite wealthy from their business creating duck calls and other hunting gear, and subsequently started a reality TV show following their exploits. The show is very popular, especially in highly religious and conservative communities, so it's really no surprise for Willie and his wife to make a cameo appearance in a Christian movie. It is, however, mentally scarring. Miss Bumper Stickers introduces herself as
Amy Ryan, I vlog The New Left.
So in case there was any doubt before, yes, this lady is politically left-leaning. Anyway, Amy the Bumper Baby requests a quick interview and asks Willie several questions that are clearly tailored to make her seem even more left-leaning than you were already expecting.
You've made a fortune selling devices that are designed to lure waterfowl to their deaths. What makes you think you have the moral right to go around maiming and killing innocent animals?
Meanwhile, Willie's answers are tailored to make him look as folksy as possible.
I guess when you say you're referring to the whole group of my family, which will be y'all. We can certainly buy bigger tires on our trucks and four-wheelers to get out in the mud with, so life is good. What we're gonna do, cook them while they're still moving around? That would be cruel.
The scene is laughable enough as it is, but then Bumper Warrior asks one of the silliest questions I've ever heard.
So what do you say to people who are offended by your show, not just because of the hunting, but because you openly pray to Jesus in every episode?
I just love how she pauses and sneers right before she says, openly pray to Jesus. Who talks like this? Look, I've already noted that I'm an atheist, but I don't care if the Robertsons pray at the end of every episode of their show. I don't watch their show anyway, for obvious reasons, but even if I did, I wouldn't care. You know why? Because it's their right. They're private citizens. They can pray all they want on their show. It doesn't offend me at all. But apparently it offends our bumper blogger, who I'm starting to suspect comes from the same deranged alternate universe some Christians think they live in, where everyone and everything is out to attack Christianity and Jesus. Or maybe since she's apparently one of those meat is murder people, she holds that sending demons into swine that then throw themselves off a cliff incident against Jesus. Anyway, the scene is obviously just pandering to the audience. It lets the folksy, down-to-earth Willie score some cheap points on the left-leaning blogger. The pandering apparently worked, too. When I saw the movie in theaters, the audience applauded almost everything Willie said. I was really glad I disguised myself before entering the theater. Next, we cut back to the college, where we are finally introduced to this lady. Her name is Aisha, and as you might guess from her quickly donning her hijab before her father arrives, she comes from a fairly traditional Muslim family where...
You're beautiful.
Wait, what did she just say?
You're beautiful.
I don't even... What is this? Who wrote this? Who thought it would be a good idea to just have some random woman walk up and say something like that so sincerely? It's awkward, it's weird,
You're beautiful.
It's freaking hilarious. Oh man. You know, for all the bad stuff I've got to say about this movie, at least it's the first Christian movie I've seen to have a positive depiction of a lesbian. After that wonderful moment, Aisha explains that her father is very traditional, hence the hijab. She then gets in her dad's car, where he tries to reassure her that he only asks her to dress and act a certain way because he loves her and because it's what God wants. It's basically a scene that spells out everything the movie already implied about Aisha's situation earlier. Next we see Josh visiting a church where he meets one of the men from the airport scene earlier. This is Reverend Dave, and upon hearing Josh's story, he tells Josh that he should try talking to the university about his concerns, and oh, of course he doesn't. Instead, Dave encourages Josh to go through with it, and Josh resolves to do the presentations. Next, we meet back up with Miss Stickershock, who has been called to her doctor's office for some grave news. News that she can't be bothered to listen to because she's got text messages and calls to take. Oh, those bloggers. The silly doctor is insistent, and finally says,
Your results came back positive. You have cancer.
I don't have time for cancer. I'm too busy.
Excuse me? My schedule is absolutely packed right now. I don't think I can fit cancer in. I don't think you understand what I'm saying. Like if cancer could check back in a few weeks, maybe a month. I might have a slot. Put your phone away! Gosh. The doctor tells Amy that she needs to begin treatment immediately, but we cut back to the college because this movie can't be bothered to focus on one character for more than 5 freaking minutes. It's basically the Crash of Christian movies. We find Josh reading something when Kara the caricature approaches. She asks if he knows what day it is, and he reveals that it's their anniversary. Josh recalls that they met 6 years ago today, when their 2 youth groups collided at a Newsboys concert. He then reveals that he's bought 2 tickets to one of their upcoming concerts to celebrate. The thing is, his story confuses me. Does he mean that they are celebrating the moment they first laid eyes on each other, or did they start going out the moment they met? If that's how rapidly they decided to go out, it's no wonder they're starting to have relationship problems. Speaking of which, Kara semi-apologizes for being so insistent about the presentations the other day, and the 2 of them start to leave. Dun dun dun! Pointless drama summarization powers activate!
Are you working on that presentation even when I told you not to?
Maybe.
I'm going to get super angry about this even though I just apologized for doing that yesterday.
Even though I'm a grown man, I'm just going to sulk and pout like a 4th grader.
If you go through with this presentation, I'm totally going to break up with you. Now I'm going to storm off. Humph!
Now I'm going to make the Kristen Stewart face again. After the pointless relationship drama, we cut back to Pastor Dave and his airplane friend, whose name still hasn't been mentioned. Honestly, I'm pretty sure they don't mention his name once in the entire movie. I had to look up his name on IMDb. Anyway, this is Reverend Jude. He is a missionary from Senegal who is going on vacation with Pastor Dave to Disneyland, which is apparently a lifelong dream of not just Reverend Jude, but his mother as well, who wants
a picture of me in mouse ears, standing in front of the fairy tale castle.
You know, of all the characters in this movie so far, Jude is probably my favorite. He's a friendly, jovial guy who just seems like fun to be around. Too bad he doesn't have much of a point in this movie. The two pastors get ready to leave when they discover that Dave's car won't start. Dave says they'll have to get a rental car and college! Haha, bet you didn't think we'd be back here so soon. It's finally time for Josh's first presentation to prove the existence of God. After a hilarious stare down with Radisson, Josh begins.
Atheists say that no one can prove the existence of God, and they're right.
That's all, folks.